This is an analysis for the Warboss. The Warboss is fighting against Kite in Grand Finals. Congrats to both players. Haven't seen Kite play in a minute. So we'll see how they have improved. Haven't seen the Warboss play in a while either, as I just don't even play the game anymore. So I'm excited to see what happens. Wagner Hilda, kind of tough matchup for Hilda. She has to play it pretty differently than she does against other characters because Wagner's ability to punish her for taking the risks that Hilda has to prevent Wagner from getting shield is superb. She has 6-6C, or Wagner has 6-6C. Wagner has great jump-ins. She has an awesome assault. And if she does get that shield buff, neutral's over. So hopefully while we're watching this VOD, we can point out illegal activity and discuss how to call the cops and take Hilda to Masher jail. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and start this, I guess, and see what happens around start. This is usually where you can pretty much tell if somebody knows how to play against your character or not. And the answer is no. And the reason that I say that is, so just think about Wagner's round start options, right? Her most common round start options are, especially in the first round of a game, block and dash block. Both of which don't lose to 6-6B. And because of 6-6B and how it is, Hilda needs to special cancel it, most commonly into a spike, because they don't want to do a pillar or something and just die for free. So what I'm expecting to see after seeing the 6B is a spike up back, because Kite is a good enough player to know that they have no business pressing more buttons after they're right in front of Wagner and putting themselves in a minus situation. The other reason amongst the many why the 6-6B start really sucks is because one of the other really common options for Wagner is 6-6C round start, which destroys Hilda's 6-6B. When both players are playing the matchup at kind of a higher level, backdash becomes more of an option as well. And backdash, of course, dodges the 6-6B and has enough whiff recovery that Wagner can take shield buff and then neutral's already fucking over. So there's just kind of no benefit to Hilda doing this round start. And seeing something like this should tell you a lot about how you should approach playing against this particular Hilda player in this set. So I'm expecting to see an up back. Yeah, we see the up back. But the thing that I don't really like what I see is I see you following them. You need to think about and get good at threatening to grab shield buff in this matchup. And the best place where you do so is right outside of Hilda's 2C range. Because Hilda is how she is, when she's quote-unquote controlling you with her, long-ranged buttons, they're all reactable overheads. They have definitive points where the pressure ends, right? Like B-pillar, and whatnot. And if she wants to stop you from getting shield buff, she has to take risks that die to very low risk movements in neutral. So for example, if you're standing right out of 2C range and they think you might go for shield buff, they might do 6-6C, right? Well, if you instead chose to dash block, there's 6-6C whiffs and they die. It's just shit like that. Or they might try to do micro dash 2C to mess up the spacing for you. Well, what if you pressed assault or jumped at them? It can be very scary for Hilda because not only is the damage differential so fucking fat, but when Hilda gets hit, it's Wagner, you get carried to the corner, and then Hilda's sitting there just kind of being mauled essentially by a character that she doesn't really have a definitive mash point against, or like a definitive place where she can just sort of take her turn again. So it's very difficult for her to defend for extended periods of time because Wagner is so strong at earning those scenarios where she can really open Hilda up, just because of the difference in frame data between the buttons that they both have when they're on the ground. So without going too far into that, I will say that I think that this jump is motivated by like a desire to just be on top of her all the time. And if you play the matchup that way, you will find that your results will be very inconsistent, because Hilda is the best character in the game, most likely, at stopping you from doing this. Maybe Vat is better. Probably Vat is better. It's Vat. But regardless, Hilda's one of the best characters at killing people for trying to come in when, you know, the situation isn't right. So, try not to hold forward so much, because you really just don't have to. Masher. Oh, combo drop. This can be telling too. A common autopilot option for Hilda against other characters is to do like back tech into up back. She's not allowed to do that versus you, especially when her back tech gets cut off by the corner. Of course, this situation only happened because you dropped your combo, but this is a situation, this looks a lot like a situation you might see plenty of times. So just keep in mind that, you know, if they do back tech up back, you should be killing them for it. And they, playing against a Hilda player who's very willing to jump in the corner like this, it's really scary for Hilda. Because if she jumps like this, it's very common that you're going to dash block, right? Usually when they choose to like do a jump in the corner or something like this is about where you'll be, and when they choose to jump, you'll also choose to dash block, maybe, you know? And if that's the case, you end up standing like right here. Well, now she's fucked, because she's like, oh god, I jumped and Wagner's close enough to 3C me for doing falling JB. She's close enough to block my dive kick and then take her turn, and, you know, now she's right in front of me with her turn in the corner, you know, etc., etc. So this is kind of another sign of, you know, maybe a player who is not privy to or respecting the options that you have at your disposal. Nice hash block. That's basically the situation I was talking about earlier, where you like dash block when they think you might stay still or retreat or something, and they choose something to beat those two options, but you dash blocked instead, so they're dead. But you didn't take a risk to dash block, you know? Can be tough. It's fine. I would have taken shield personally, but I don't think sword is wrong either, necessarily. Okay, just stringing him up, that's fine. This throw's kind of meh, and the reason is, so when you're standing like this far away, you know, or you've been pushed out, you're choosing to go back in with 2 and 4A, which is good, and they're not shielding the 2 and 4A very well, which is their fault. So you can just like kind of keep looping it, or just getting in there. But generally, if you're like this far away, like if you're outside of her 2A range or 5A range, or, you know, kind of like her faster buttons and stuff like that, then what exactly is she going to do to you if you stay here? You know what I mean? Like, if you just keep her at an arm's length in the corner, what's she going to do about it? Is she going to jump? Well, if she does that, you might dash block in. And now she's in a really bad spot. She might feel pressured to do some cringe-ass Nene teleport that gets you a free 2TB. She might fall with JB or something, which could get anti-aired. She might try to dive kick, which could get anti-aired or just blocked, and then, depending on how high it hit you, punished, or, you know, just she's back in the corner again with you right in front of her. And her dash is so bad that, like, dash blocking to get, you know, a better spacing is not ideal. And even if she had the better spacing, like, as in, you know, she was close enough to press 2A or 5A, she still doesn't have, like I said earlier, definitive points in your pressure where she can press something to take her turn, you know? She's also the kind of character who doesn't really function that well on defense with CS compared to a character like Wagner, who has like a meterless DP. So you don't really have to worry about that. What you do need to worry about is her Vorpal trait and the fact that she has meter here. So if we look at the HP, right, and we look at the timer, we have plenty of time. We have approximately like 4 or 5 times more HP than she does. Is it really necessary to go for a throw here and potentially and give Hilda a chance to be right with her mash and even up the score? It's just something to think about. However, it's not all is lost because they teched it and we know they're OSing. Most common OSs for Hilda are stand tech and 1AD. Almost no Hilda literally ever does 3-bad for reasons that I cannot explain. It is 3B, right? It's not 3C. Yeah, it's 3B. Yeah, most Hildas, vast majority of Hildas don't even use that OS. Can't explain why. But it is what it is, you know. So now you know they're OSing, that's okay. You know, you didn't end up getting hit, so it's fine, it works out. But just keep that in mind, like, you really didn't have to do that. Also, when you're blocking a dive kick, I keep not going far back enough. I recommend not trying to shield it, just because, you know, yeah, it can be plus, but most of the time it's only going to be +1, and look at these close range buttons we're dealing with. We're dealing with 8-frame 5A, dealing with a 6-frame 2A. You know, she does not want to trade with your 5A, you know, etc. So, even if she's +1, like, does it really matter, you know? Okay. Nice 6-6C. That was unfortunate for them too, because the reason that they chose to do dive kick here was because you were close enough for 6-6C, and they made themselves minus, and they're close to the corner, so they maybe don't feel like upbacking as much. They also have a game to win, so, you know, if they were sure that you were going to do 6-6C, which it looks like they were correct, then you would get hit here, and that is one thing that she can do, right? To prevent you from doing shit to her after the 63A, but yeah. Unfortunate for Kite. Thank you, Based Kimone, for the 6C buff. Much better round start from Kite here. The this walk back thing actually does work. And it's always difficult to tell if they're actually doing the fuzzy for the timing of if you like try to delay the C input by like a frame or two just to catch them for doing this, which I don't really recommend because that's just kind of like taking risks, hoping that your opponent sucks, you know? But this is something that that Hilda can do, but it's really difficult for her to actually punish you for it. So that's fine. And the 6-6C was a good adjustment because you saw first round that they did 6-6B and that they're willing to do shit like that. So you tried to police them when you had resources. Good all around. Good gameplay all around. Getting hit by the IC5C, not so much. Is this a reset? There's no way that works. It might. It looks like they pressed the... Did they press the free C too late or something? It does look like they kind of pressed it a little late. I don't know if that works. That seems cringe. Friendly Remembly, when they teleport like kind of close to the ground like that, they're gonna be pretty easy to kill. So if you're like super heads up about seeing the teleports happen, then that's something you can keep in mind. Okay, so they lock you in there. You block it. Good job. They cancel. You're not quite close enough for 6-6C, but they ended their turn, so they do up back JA, and you move forward. So what you should try doing in the future, I know that in your notes you mentioned, what do I do against JAJB? And the way you want to approach something like this, think about being less aggressive in those situations, because you already know, right, in this situation, that if you 6-6C, that's overextending. It's not going to work, right? And you know that running in with, like, you know, full run-in jump on top of her or something like that isn't going to work either, because they're doing up back JA, right? This is all very standard, but you don't want to be thinking of it in the sense that, oh, you know, what do I do to punish her for doing this, you know, directly, you know, like with a counter hit or something. You don't want to be thinking about it that way, because you already know that you're going to be overextending by moving forward. I can see it in your gameplay. You know that. The Hilda knows that. So something that you need to add to your repertoire in the matchup is, in these scenarios, if you are certain that your opponent is going to up back, watch for it, and then if they do, press 2-2B. You have dash block on the mind here, but when they're that far away, what is a dash block going to do for you? Literally nothing, right? If they were greedy and just pressed another button here, you would just be blocking again, right? You gain nothing from dash blocking here, but you do gain something from waiting to see if your opponent gives you the room to do 2-2B. The counterplay here for Hilda is to do up back and not press JA on their way up. You're so far away that, like, there's no way in hell this JA fucking hits anything, you know? So they don't really need to press it, and they could wait to see if, you know, you try to do a shield buff or something and try to skewer you or something like that when they're a little lower to the ground, so that they won't, you know, just fall to the ground and explode. But Kite's not doing that. This Hilda is not doing that. Most Hildas don't. The only one I've ever played against, and I've played against, I think, all of them, except Sushi. They don't do this. They are the only one who does the skewer thing is Blooming Lotus. So it's pretty safe to assume when you see this up back JA stuff at these kinds of spacings where it literally doesn't matter, that that's kind of just their autopilot thing, right? And you need to abuse that by pressing 2-2B. Don't worry about what they could do to you. Worry about what they are doing and will do. You know what I mean? Because if you get the shield buff here, the neutral's over. Like, seriously, it's over. And you have sword buff, so you're, like, twice as scary as you would be normally. Oh, ICJC is such a weird, nice tech. Such a weird button. Okay, you probably just weren't ready for this, but you should be, because this is IC5C. You get free shields off of this one, and you can sit down after you block the first hit. If I recall correctly, it's been a while, so you should probably double check that, but pretty sure you can just sit down. And you should be looking for scenarios like that, looking for normals like that need to be canceled into specials, because we know from that far away that A spike ain't gonna hit, right? So the only other special that's going to reach there, other than like B spike, I guess, but that takes fucking forever, and they're trying to keep you from moving, is the B pillar, right? This is -8. If you shield this shit, it's -11, and if they're close enough, then you literally punish them for pressing the B pillar. And you have shield, or you have sword, so it's like even more likely that you would be in that spacing. Unfortunately, I think you were a little too far away to punish them directly, but if they had tried to jump or press another button, they would have died for sure if you pressed 6-6C. But yeah, you need to be really ready for those, because these are like definitive moments right? These are the moments that will win you the matches, is getting those shields, blocking those pillars, and punishing them, calling the cops for this illegal activity. Yeah, they're just smashing shield. They're not even... Personally, I wouldn't have VO'd there, but I see why you wanted to, and it's not like necessarily wrong. Although that is, you definitely don't want to be trying to move into Hilda with unarmored shield charge. Yeah, just kind of got hit by a bunch of stuff there. Yeah, and there's that up back again. So consider this. With what we talked about, or what I talked about earlier, with like getting the shield buff, right, when she does the up back JAs from too far away. This is basically the same thing. You can backdash after that A spike to get a ton of space, right? Because you're expecting them to up back and give up space. So if you also move away, it only makes sense that you gain even more screen space toward the two of you. And that screen space that you can use to move around, maybe get her to take a risk to try and stop you from getting a shield buff, or just generally give yourself a little bit more time to, you know, have a chance to win this, you know, start winning the cycle, have a chance to start doing this and that. The way you responded here is fine too, but it's not as like resource oriented as I'd like to see. But like what you chose to do is like fine, except the 5C. The 5C is not fine, but the moving forward safely is fine. You know, gaining some space is always cool, and you're still in range to win the cycle by like blocking her buttons and shit. But she's not gonna feel tempted to take big risks, you know. So it's just a certain way to play. Oh yeah, and you punish the teleport there, and that's good. They're not allowed to do that. TRM. Alright, stop throwing. Oh, he committed to drill there. In these scenarios where, like... In these scenarios where you have her in the corner, if you're just standing, like, about here, which is kind of about where you'll be when she pushes you out anyway, there's not really anything she can do to you, you know, to get her turn back easily. You know, other characters could, like, dash block and press a button, but she's not going to do that. Her dash sucks. Her 2A sucks. Well, its startup sucks. And her 5A isn't going to reach you all the way over there. So she's going to have some issues challenging you at those ranges. And if she tries to, like, jump up so that she can maybe, like, I don't know, get some space to, like, dive kick out this way, or, you know, just try to escape with, like, a teleport or something like that, you're just right here chilling, and you can just, I don't know, block the dive kick and take your turn again, or if they teleport, go punish the teleport and stuff by either hitting them directly, depending on the teleport, or taking a shield buff on reaction to the teleport. There's literally nothing she can do to stop you there, as far as I know. So I think you should be more willing to control the pace here and play kind of more of a controlled style. Just because you have like 4 times as much HP as she does. You have plenty of time on the clock, and it's the last round, and she has a 100 meter, right? So what do we think of when we think of 100 meter on Hilda? We think of VO as her comeback, right? Because she's going to want to come back, and she wants you gone, right? She wants you way far away from her at this moment. Or they're just, I don't know, eventually going to mash and kill themselves, right? I mean, they've done it before already, so why not just let them, right? I know like this only worked because you like kind of messed up with your JC input and shit, but I think the strategy needs to be more sound there. Nice block. And she used Gloom, you ran up and got some shields on it. That's cool. Good job. Cool, cool. Makes sense, why not? Good shield buff. Not so great use. So this is kind of like the Hilda VO of Wagner. Everybody knows that the moment that Wagner gets shield buff, they're gonna want to use it, and they're probably gonna use it right away, right? And Kite knows that they can't just press buttons to stop you from moving in because it has guard point, and they're gonna fucking die. So they jump. Very common response, and this is why, right? Because you might miss, and you don't have the meter to say, hey fucker, you aren't allowed to jump away from this. You need to deal with this now. Because imagine they do like a neutral jump or a jump forward and you started this, you just react with 2TC and shoot them down. If they jump away like this, you could do like C drill or something and knock them down. And a lot of the times it'll be a counter hit because they're doing stuff like a back JA when it doesn't really make sense to, or stuff like that, you know? So you just kind of gave this to them. Notice how the moment you got the shield buff, they stopped trying to press buttons and ran away, right? So all you have to do is abuse them for running away. Really good ways to abuse them for running away. Let's see. We got a cycle to win. We could charge grid. We could take sword. We could dash block in and keep making them run away until they try to run past us, and then that's kind of when our time is to shine, you know? If we had the meter. This is like notably weaker when you don't have the meter, but still very strong. It just goes to show like when you have the meter how absurdly strong it is. But yeah, you need to be a little more careful about that, because you earned that shield buff. It was good. Like the way you got the shield buff was good, but you just kind of gave it away. You need to be crushing these OSs. We already know, we've known since like the first round that your opponent is OSing. So you both have full HP. There's lots of time on the clock. You know, they're really far ahead of you in the cycle, right? But the cycle's still young. And they don't have the meter or the cycle to convert into absolutely massive combos. So is it really that bad to go for the crush, right? Because Hilda has access to an anti-air OS, but for reasons that I cannot explain, Hilda players do not use it. They like avoid it like the plague and will just stand tech or 180 instead. So delay assault's generally pretty good. Some Hildas use like FFOSs and things like that to kind of deal with it, or they'll, you know, mash 5A to catch you there. And, you know, if they're right, then of course they hit you, but you know, you need to be able to call them out, especially when you are playing a VO style. Like if you do VO and run up to them and TRM, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna sit here and like burst into tears, because we need more than that. Good job taking your turn there. They're not shielding the 2-4A, so you should just run it. You win the cycle there at the TRM, that's fine. Using a TRM to win the cycle because you don't feel like potentially losing the cycle and getting hit is like totally fine. You have both buffs there, and you're ahead on HP. And Hilda is like kind of notably ahead of you in the cycle, right? But it's only halfway. So I don't think you should feel so pressured to take this risk and throw away your shield buff potentially, when you could have played a little bit more of a patient game on that cycle. And honestly, the better and better you get at the game, the more and more you're going to realize that winning every cycle is literally like not happening, and trying to win every cycle is bad. because it makes you predictable. So, yeah. Nice punish. Looks like they kind of messed up there. That sort of sucks. Don't TR him. Okay, good. I personally wouldn't have gone for the kill there. I would have just kept them controlled in the corner since I have such a big lead. But what you did is not wrong. Just keep in mind that you can do both. That was weird. Oh god, it's weird. We're all getting hit. Oh god, we're using... You gotta stop doing this. This like shield charge thing, this is really bad. You don't want to do that. Oh, you're trying. You're trying to get the ICJC. That's good. Yeah, you're just missing the shield a little bit. Oh, it looks like you kind of got caught there. Or we're just getting hit now. This is spaghetti. Okay. That was weird. Wait, actually, okay, so that was what? Which teleport was that? Where are the teleports here? I always forget, like, the button of the teleport. 421A, I forget. Because it does have some strike invuln. So, like, maybe they know about the FF stuff, and we're trying to, like, work around it. I'm not sure why they went for this. But you tried to go for the shield again, that was really good. At that height, if you got that shield, that was just like a raw punish. Yeah, we're trying too hard to get forward. You're doing exactly... This whole round, you did exactly what Hilda wanted you to do, and look what happened. You know what I mean? There was 50 seconds on the clock when you made the decision to press the drill that ended the round for you. So I think you could afford to... I think one major criticism I would say of your neutral gameplay in the matchup is you need to be more willing to, like, chill. Hilda players are well versed in how to kill people who are not chilling out. You know what I mean? But Hilda, as a character, does not do all that well. At doing so. Or at like, punishing people for the opposite. Nice assault. That's your bread and butter versus 2C. If you're ever finding yourself at like a 2C spacing and you think they might press it, assaulting's like generally pretty good. Oh my god. No! He went and did it. Yeah, you definitely need to be thinking a little bit more about this TRM stuff. Maybe you're just playing around with it and that's fine, but you know, you're in Veil Off, you need to be trying to crush them. There isn't even like a cycle closing or like death on the throw or anything, you know, the TRM's just like not doing anything for you. There's a good bit of knowledge that it looks like Hilda has, or this Hilda player has over you, Kite has over you. So when we space out 2-on-4A, we need to be careful about pressing 2A there because Hilda can crush it with her FFs, like FF2A or just regular FF like this one. And this might be their OS. They might be doing FFOS and this is them showing it to you. Because that was like close to a throw situation you've introduced before. But either way, when you are thinking of pressing a button after being plus from 2-on-4A, you should press 5A against Hilda. Really against every character, because there's no reason for you to press 2A. But 5A is the way to go there, because if they try to do this, they're going to get hit. Because it's a mid, not a low. Rip. Augers. Okay. That's your bread and butter, baby. Although it was a pretty risky assault right there. But you got the shield before, so like it's not as risky as it would have been. Oh, you tried to 6-6C there? Oh. I believe you can't 6-6C there to punish her jump. Let me double check. You like barely can, I think. It was worth going for. These assaults are good though. They have to be careful about when they press 2C. Like 2C is such a like dominant button, but it is not like as strong as a lot of Hildas make it out to be. Like through the way that they use it. Oh god. Okay. I kind of feel like you're panicking a little bit to like do shit. So you're just getting hit a lot. You need to relax. Nice. Okay. Oh yeah, one thing about this B-Spike stuff, when you're ready to tackle this B-Spike stuff, it is possible to backdash this on reaction, and if you do, you get a buff for free unless they see skewer. But Hilda players, when they're doing the B-Spike, they're going to be more ready to do C orb than they are to do C skewer. So just keep that in mind. It's difficult to do, and you're going to have to practice it a good amount. So it might be something you want to put on the back burner a little bit. But yeah. Yeah, they caught you for that. So they make themselves minus here, right? What should we expect based on what we see? We should either expect them to press a button to intercept you for trying to make overextend, or jump away, right? However, they just made themselves -2 at a pretty significant range, right? If you walk back here, right? If you walk back here, it's pretty unlikely that they do like a spike no cancel into 2-2B, you know? If they did, I mean, I don't know, you got outplayed or something. But if you walked back here, right? This whiffs, you take shield. Now, the situation is that you have shield buff and CS and 100 meter. And they have no CS, of course, and no meter. They could, from that point on, literally instantly lose the round off of one bad press. Okay, for the hard knockdown. Masher. There we go. Yeah, so you're just getting shit on for like trying to move forward and do too much shit. You have to recognize that she should also be afraid of you. Okay. VO here is good. Okay, it doesn't hit, but I was literally about to say it doesn't hit, but they're gonna VO, and then you just like sat there and VO. That was a good wait, you know. The Hilda player's shitting their pants, right? They're gonna do it. It's the Hilda VO, right? Like, obviously. Both buffs. Oh god, my eyeballs. Alright, it's over anyway, whatever. And I'm assuming that kind of the rest of this is just basically the same. I think we've basically seen everything that we need to see. I'm just gonna... We'll look at this at like 2 times speed or some shit, I don't know. Right. See? Exactly what I was talking about. That's perfect. That's good. You adjusted to that round start tendency very well. And the thing that's really nice about it is that in the past few rounds, they did the walk back with the proximity guard fuzzy. But if you backdash against that, you can see that they did it and go like, oh, okay, maybe I won't take shield right now because they might like try to skewer me or some shit, right? So you don't even have to churn the shield, right? But you're already in a space that she feels uncomfortable with you being in because you might get this shield buff. So good stuff. That's good. The use of the shield buff itself could use some work, but the fact that you're like grabbing it at all is good. You also know about the FF stuff. You're jumping over this. Just stop throwing this guy and you're just gonna win because yeah, they're just gonna VO and blah blah blah. That's fine. Whatever, you're blocking, you're winning the cycle, you're getting your meter, you finally get the hit, the round's over. Obviously, right? Like, this is just done. Stop doing that, never do that, don't do that. And the reason that you never want to do that against Hilda is because if you ever play against a Hilda who knows the matchup, then they're never, ever, ever going to die to that. Because they're just going to up back and watch. They're not going to up back and do J. They're not going to up back and, you know, commit to things before they feel like they have to. They're just going to up back to get a little bit of space away from your 6C and your dash block. And if they don't do anything for a certain period of time, the 236B, 236C will whiff. And then you'll just die. So don't do that. You don't have to do that anyway. You know, you're already playing so strongly around start off of these very safe options. You know, you don't need to take risks like that. VO? yeah, whatever. All right. Let's see. Do you win this one? I think you probably, yeah, you 3-0. All right. Nice work.